Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Bomb has been defused.
Hey, what's up guys? This is AdreN with Boomio, and we're gonna go over Mirage callouts, and now let's hop in game. All right, here we are in CT spawn on Mirage. Starting off, CT spawn goes into ticket or ticket booth. A lot of people will just up here, hide behind. So ticket, we have triple, just because there's 3 boxes here, 1, 2, 3. Default, just because it's the most default plant spot. A lot of people will plant here, so this box right here, default. On this side, it's called Ninja, because a lot of people will hide here and try being obviously Ninja. So Ninja is pretty much the universal call for that spot. And then on this spot, it's called Firebox, just because on the previous versions of Mirage, a lot of the boxes were labeled like flammable or whatnot. And yeah, so that spot is Firebox. We have under balk. We just have balcony, or you can say top balk if you want to be specific. And then sandwich, just because it's in between 2 big boxes here, basically, or used to be boxes. So sandwich is right here. Then we have Tetris right there, just because usually, boxes are kind of stacked up on each other. And then that is Palace up there. And then we'll go through a ramp right here, going into pretty much T-spawn. Usually anything called out here, this is where people line up a lot of smokes, but usually you just call out outside of a ramp. And then there's the exit of Palace as well. I'm not going to go through Palace just because there's no really specific calls in Palace other than saying Palace. So going right into, we are now in T-spawn. Then coming right through here, going up into the B apartments. No real specific name for this part here. Just running into B apartments and going into underpass. Underpass pretty much goes all the way till right here, and this would be under window, where people will boost up into window here. Connector will go back into, this is chair, just because there is a chair there, so pretty easy call. Top mid boxes, that went back into T-spawn or B apartments entrance right there where we came from. Going into catwalk right here. Catwalk, we go into ladder room, obviously just because there's a little ladder here. So ladder room, cat bricks, a lot of people will, or an operator will hold here. So if you call cat bricks, this is what they're talking about right there. A lot of people will call this get right just because of the player and how well he used to play this spot or how often he used to play this spot. So this spot right here is well known as get right. Going into the B bomb site here, we have either trash, or a lot of people will call it E-box, just because in the previous versions of Mirage, there used to be a little E-box right here. So trash or E-box once again. Going into the bomb site here, here is default, so default pillar. Here, back pillar, this is usually called the back pillar right here, or if they're anywhere back here. This is going into bench. And then fence, a lot of people play this little ninja angle here, so call this fence, and then more specifically, if a guy's hiding here, calling that bench. We call this van. Top balcony, a lot of people will hide here, so top balk. B apartments, this goes into kitchen, kind of like the lobby area before they run into B, so kitchen right there. Jumping out a window here, we're going to go into market, which is right there. And this is back hall, which is the entrance in the market. So market, and back into CT spawn, and then into window room here. So just window room. Some people will call this anything different, like rat hole, murder hole, window hole. So whatever you want to call it there. And then you have jungle, and then closet or jungle closet. This used to be, or is called jungle, because there used to be like a bunch of like vines above you and like a bunch of like mesh above you, kinda. It's not really shown on this version of Mirage, but that name just kind of stuck with everyone. So jungle is all of this area here. And lastly, we are going to be in connector, and pretty much this whole spot's just named connector. And then we have stairs finally. Hey, this is AdreN with Boomio, and we're going to go over important map timings on DE Mirage. Let's hop in game. Starting off here, we're going to talk about A ramp. And all the spawns I used were the best terrorist spawns with the best CT spawns. So if you're going into the A bomb site here and crossing triple, the best terrorist spawn we'll be able to see an average CT spawn crossing. So this engagement can happen if the terrorist has one of the best terrorist spawns and the CT just has like an average spawn for crossing. If the CT has the absolute best spawn, he can get around the corner before the terrorist sees him, but for the most part, for most of the other spawns, you will have an engagement here if the terrorist wants to have this engagement. So you got to be very careful about this when crossing to connector this way instead of going through jungle. So as you're going into the A bomb site here, you want to have some sort of utility to block a guy from trying to have that engagement, because you don't want to go down into a 4v5 right away. So just be careful of this engagement here where the terrorist can be swinging up ramp really fast and trying to get that early round pick. Next key engagement here is going to be jumping through window and posting up on middle here. For the most part, the CT with the best spawn will always beat the terrorist no matter what spawn he has. But if the CT doesn't have a very good spawn and the terrorist has the absolute best spawn, the terrorist can beat the CT here. So if you do not have a good spawn on CT side, you have a very bad spawn, it might be smart not to peek window right away if the terrorist could possibly have one of the best spawns. So be very careful about peeking middle if you don't have one of the better spawns, because the terrorist can beat you there. Going into catwalk here. Catwalk, if your middle guy is not spotting it, for some reason your guy is not peeking window, or just for some reason someone's not peeking window, they can get up catwalk extremely fast. So right around when you peek this corner here, terrorists can be rounding this corner right here. So be very careful. Have your gun out. Be prepared for terrorists that could possibly be already up in your face on catwalk bricks here. So if no one's spotting middle, be very wary of that and be careful of this engagement, because the terrorists can get there very fast. The next spot here is upper B. If you decide to jump spot, you will see them sprinting into B. You will have like maybe one and a half jumps to actually be prepared for someone that's rushing you. So make sure that you have your utility out, your teammates have utility out to stop a rush, whether it be a nade, Molotov, whatever. But you'll have just like 2 seconds to spot people that will be rushing here. If you do decide to just challenge this right away, a guy can actually be very close to the steps here with the absolute best spawn. So if you do not have a good spawn as a CT and you challenge this, he could be up in your face already challenging you here. So be very careful and try to use utility, just post yourself up here, especially if you don't have the best spawn as a CT. Get your teammate to flash you in, post up, and flash any very aggressive terrorists that might be using their spawn to rush.